If you want to have a fun 48 hours, you got to go back about 40 years. Let's go. Okay, everybody, we're going all the way back to 1982, to a time when Nick Nolte was still a major star and Eddie Murphy still made good movies. Anyway, we're talking about 48 Hours, a legendary little flick that everybody loves and everybody should know, but maybe not everybody does. Before we go any further, before we dig into this gem any more than we already are, once again, and as always, to the trailer.
We ain't partners, we ain't brothers, and we ain't friends. I'm putting you down and keeping you down until Ganz is locked up or dead. And if Ganz gets away, you're gonna be sorry you ever met me.
I'm already sorry.
Nick Nolte is a cop. Eddie Murphy is a con.
I can help you get Ganz, but you gotta get me out of here first.
You're crazy.
He pulls some strings.
See how you need me a little more than you thought, huh, Mr. K?
He pulls some scams.
So where do you want to do it, honey? Want to hop up on the counter?
Nah, we can go in this room over here next to the family.
Yeah,
Dead serious. Come on, we're in Let's go.
They've got two killers to track down.
Toss me that piece, and he won't waste it.
They've got a kidnapping going down.
I want the money. What you talking about? What did he mean to snap her neck?
They've got a fortune to hunt down.
I want to know what's going on between you and Ganz.
$500,000.
And it's all coming down in 48 hours.
I gave you 48 hours to come up with something, and the clock's running.
This guy got a real itchy trigger finger and he's a nervous cop. You better listen to him, you get your brain blown out.
I'm the calm type.
I'm looking for a little boy by the name of Billy there. Never heard of him. You heard of him now, man? You know, you are real stupid for a cop, man. You're following this guy too close.
Yeah, well, most cops are pretty stupid, but since you landed in jail, what the hell does that make you?
What's happening, Luther? I'm sorry about the door, man. Did that hurt? It looked real painful.
You come clean and we're going again right here, right now.
Are you in some hurry or something?
Yes, I'm in a hurry. I haven't done anything for 3 years.
Oh, you used to be a priest or something.
Say my name.
If you screw up, I can promise you, you're going down.
They couldn't like each other less. They couldn't need each other more.
You want to bet?
And if they can get off each other's case,
Look at you, you got a $500 suit on, you're still a lowlife.
Yeah, but I look good.
they just might solve this one.
Being a cop is a hard job, Jack.
Nick Nolte, Eddie Murphy,
We ain't brothers, we ain't partners, and we ain't friends. If Ganz gets away with my money, you're gonna be sorry you ever met me.
I'm already sorry.
48 hours.
Now be cool.
All right, everybody. I've talked about him in other movies I've reviewed before, and here we go again. This little gem was directed by Walter Hill. Hold on tight. Anyway, he's done stuff like Streets of Fire, and Johnny Handsome, and Red Heat, and Hard Times, and The Long Riders, and of course The Warriors, and Southern Comfort, and Brewster's Millions, and Crossroads, and The Driver. So we are talking about an incredible body of work. Love this guy's stuff. We'll get into that later. Okay, playing Jack Cates, Nick Nolte. Let's do this. We're talking about he has been in stuff like North Dallas 40, and The Deep, and Teachers, and Cannery Row, and Cape Fear, my God, and Blue Chips, and The Prince of Tides, and Mulholland Falls, and Tropic Thunder, come on, man, and Hotel Rwanda, and Intimate Affairs. So he's been in a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, a great lineup of movies. It is what it is. Let's keep moving. Making his motion picture debut as Reggie Hammond, very young Eddie Murphy, right off of Saturday Night Live, and here we go. We're talking about he has been in motion pictures like Beverly Hills Cop. Not one, not two, But all three, in Harlem Nights, in Trading Places, in Dr. Doolittle, in Norbit, in Dream Girls, in Metro, which kind of gets forgotten, wasn't even that bad, in Bowfinger, in The Golden Child, in The Nutty Professor, and Coming to America, please only watch the first. And he also does a lot of voice work now. He's been like the donkey in Shrek, so everybody underneath like 20 thinks of him as the donkey in Shrek. Whatever. Playing Ganz, James Remar. Let's hit this shit. We're talking about he has been in stuff like The Cotton Club, and The Long Riders, and Band of the Hand, and Clan of the Cave Bear, and Drugstore Cowboy, and Fatal Instinct, and White Fang, and The Quest, and Blade Trinity, and Mortal Kombat 2, and Too Fast, Too Furious, and obviously he's another one of the guys that was in The Warriors. Well, not another one of the guys. You'll see why I said that in a second. Let's keep moving. Playing Billy Bear. This guy's had a career and a half. He's been involved with some weird shit. Anyway, we're talking Sonny Landham. Let's roll. He's been in stuff like Bloodbath, Firewalker, The Love Bus, Big Abner, Southern Comfort. Popped up in Poltergeist too. Keep an eye out for him. You'll know what I'm talking about. He was in Lockup, and Action Jackson, and Best of the Best 2, and Predator, and this ties into my Remar comment, he was one of the cops in The Warriors. I shit you not. Playing Luther, oh yeah, David Patrick Kelly. Let's go for a walk, folks. We're talking about he has been in motion pictures like Flags of Our Fathers, The Crow, Crooklyn, The Longest Yard, the remake that is, you know, the John Wick, and the Trojan War, and Last Man Standing, and Malcolm X, and Wild at Heart, and of course, he was in The Warriors. So we're talking, we got Remar, we got Landham, we got Hill, and we got Kelly. Oh, fucking yeah. And there's also a slew of humanity in this motion picture that I can't go into each and every one of their careers. We will be here all day. But we are talking about this thing has Annette O'Toole. Come on, you remember Annette O'Toole from Cat People and Superman 3. And it had Frank McRae, who you know I love from fucking Used Cars. The guy is awesome. And Brion James. We're talking stuff like Blade Runner, Element. Come on. Denise Crosby, we all remember her, man. Star Trek The Next Generation. And Chris Mulkey, I've already talked about, and stuff like First Blood and The Hidden. And Peter Jason, Jesus God Almighty, he's been in all those John Carpenter flicks. How can you not love Peter Jason? And we're talking Margot Rose, who was on TV a lot, you know, in Models Inc. and Night Court. She popped up in some Star Trek episodes too. So, this motion picture is loaded with names and faces you're going to see. Some there's more than I even mentioned. Keep an eye out. Look around. You'll see all kinds of familiar faces popping up in all kinds of roles. Okay, everybody, we're going to do this in 90 seconds or less so we can keep it fast, keep it entertaining, keep it moving, and so we can get to the place we would all much rather be, the summation. You got this guy, Ganz. He's locked up, working a chain gang, slamming away on some railroad track. When one day this big guy in a pickup truck comes screaming up, asking for a cup of water. The guards are kind of laughing at him. The cons are kind of messing with him. But before we know it, it's all a ruse just to break Ganz out of jail. The two of them take off, and they start going down memory lane, looking up some old partners of theirs from days gone by. These guys, well, they start turning up either dead or in some serious trouble. He's looking for something. We'll get there. Anyway, Ganz winds up in a shootout with a couple of cops. A third cop who was tagging along, Nick Nolte, has his gun taken away from him in a hostage situation, and Ganz uses it to kill another police officer. Well, Nick Nolte takes this to heart. He's pissed, and the only thing he wants to do is get Ganz himself. Figures out that Ganz is looking up some old partners, and he happens to find one of his old partners, Reggie Hammond, who happens to be sitting in jail. Gets him out of jail for a 48-hour stint, so the two of them together can team up and hunt down Ganz and his great big sidekick. Will these two guys, who are as polar opposites of each other as you can humanly get along? Hey, you'll find out. Will Nick Nolte ever rekindle his love affair with his girlfriend? It's a side story you don't really care about. And will these guys finally get the baddie in the end? That's something you have to discover for yourself. You'll get there, you'll check it out, you'll watch it, you'll enjoy it. But now, it's on to the summation. Okay, everybody, what makes 48 Hours work? And 48 Hours does work. It's one of the great little cop action flicks of the 80s, definitely the early 80s, and really almost of all times. It's just classic. When you watch it, you'll see what I mean. Before we go any further, let's get the garbage out of the way, really. The directing. It's a beautiful motion picture to look at. We are talking about it's Walter Hill. You know the movies he makes. Just The Warriors and Streets of Fire alone should imprint into your mind what the man is capable of and what the man can do. That's all you need to know. Movie looks great. The writing, come on. This movie has some of the best banter in it that you'll ever hear floating around. These guys are just ripping the shit out of each other. Could never get made today, by the way, but is what it is. They are tearing each other apart. The banter, the dialogue, the lines being said from beginning to end by all characters is awesome. Writing's top notch. And finally, the acting. This is one of those motion pictures, folks, where everybody bangs it out the park. Nick Nolte is literally perfect as Jack Cates. I mean, he is just spot on playing that big, oversized, gruff asshole of a fucking cop. He nails it. He plays it perfect. What more can you say? Eddie Murphy, this is his first time on the big screen, folks, and he delivers. This launched Eddie Murphy into the stratosphere, where he stayed probably for like the next 7 or 8 years, just banging out hit after hit after hit after hit. Great stuff. It was really the golden era of his career. Okay, coming to America a little bit later, but this was the ballpark chunk of it, and man, you can see why in this motion picture. James Remar, awesome as the psycho bad guy. Frank McRae, fun as hell as the fucking pissed off police sergeant. Doesn't make a difference. The cast delivers top to bottom, left to right. That's all you need to know. Now, what makes this motion picture work? To get back on track, we're talking about the camaraderie between Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte's characters is what really makes this motion picture work. Yes, there's a lot of friction. Yes, there's a lot of differences. Yes, there's a lot of slamming of each other. But as you watch the movie unfold, you see these two guys start to develop a friendship and get along, let their guards down, and they become this cohesive little buddy unit by the end of the motion picture, which is something you could imagine going in. Now, let's be honest. Is this new? No. There's been a million movies with this kind of plot. B movies, A-list movies, you name it. Especially in the 70s. There were so many like chain gang movies, escaped prisoners, where you take two people and throw them together that are opposites or different races, whatever the hell it was, and you stick them together and they're forced to cooperate with each other and they develop a relationship with each other. It's been done a zillion times. Hell, they even did it in Assault on Precinct 13 to a degree. So, it's nothing new. Are the action scenes anything new? Not really. You know what I mean? There's some shootouts. There's some fights. There's a couple scenes where people are just lobbing bullets back and forth, driving down the main drag of the street. So is that new? No, not really. So literally, if the plot isn't anything really new, and the scenes aren't anything new, what makes it work? Again, dialogue and the relationship between these two main characters. It's basically what floats this flick and keeps it above being just another go-round of stuff you've already seen go round. And of course, in this one, much like in Assault on Precinct 13, you have a masterful director behind the camera, keeping it interesting, keeping it entertaining, framing it and making it look nice, and a writing team that actually gave you lines that you care about, or laugh to, or experience, or whatever, and you enjoy the motion picture. There's also two things that should be brought up about this flick. A lot of people think that this movie was much more of a comedy than what it was, and it really wasn't. There was comedic elements to the motion picture, but just because Eddie Murphy was in it, everybody thought this was like a straight fucking funny movie, a straight comedy movie. That's not the case at all. Eddie Murphy doesn't even pop up until like 25, 30 minutes into this motion picture. You gotta keep in mind that Nick Nolte was really the star at this point, and this was their vehicle to see what Eddie could do and how much he would take off into the mainstream. Nick Nolte got top billing. He's really in this motion picture more than Eddie Murphy is. Now, once Eddie Murphy comes into the motion picture, yeah, he's there all the time. But It's not an Eddie Murphy movie as you would think. It's not a straight-up goofball comedy role. It's nothing like a Coming to America or a Norbit or Nutty Professor or all that kind of shit. It's not like that. It's a street action urban flick with a little bit of comedy sprinkled on top of it via Eddie Murphy that makes it a little bit more fun and lighthearted and enjoyable. I mean, even Lethal Weapon had a little bit of comedy in it. That kind of a stuff, that kind of a thing. That's how this motion picture is. Don't think this is a straight comedy. There's funny shit in it. Yes, there is. But don't think this is just some straight comedy flick. And number two, another thing that might strike you a little bit funny about this motion picture is there's kind of a vibe shift at the end of it. The whole movie is kind of a gritty, city, urban type flick that nothing about it jumps out at you as being outer worldly, let me put it that way. And by that I mean, yes, there's things happening in this motion picture that could never happen in real life. Yes, Cates is getting in shootouts all the time and all kinds of shit's happening. He never seems to be filling out many reports. He never seems to be doing that much back at the station. He's just always going from adventure to adventure. Yes, it's all bullshit. We get it. But it's filmed in a realistic way. It's filmed in a Dirty Harry-ish type of way where you at least feel like you're just watching some guys go through the city, and it's actually just done as a normal motion picture. Until the end, I'm not going to give away what happens, that's when the movie gets strangely stylistic. It goes from an urban flick into something you would see in Streets of Fire, where the directing style radically changes, almost like a dream sequence. There's a lot of neon lights going on. There's a whole bunch of smoke being added. There's silhouetted shots, and you're like, I just went from Dirty Harry to Streets of Fire. Weird stylistic choice to end the last 10 minutes of the movie. Is what it is. It'll jump out at you when you watch it. But does it change the movie? Does it ruin it? Does it make it shitty? No, not at all. You still like it, and you still have a good time. And one last thing. After the breakout stardom, literally, of Eddie Murphy in this movie, and Nick Nolte, who went on to star in a bunch of other flicks, you would have really thought that James Remar would have had a much bigger career, because he was so good in this, and he was so good in The Warriors. But a lot of personal demons derailed him, and he had the lead. Remember, he was supposed to be Hicks in the second Aliens movie. He was filming as Hicks for a couple of weeks in the second Alien movie, until he kept showing up, a little bit too much drinking, a little bit too much out of control. Cameron shit-canned his whole career, or at least him from that motion picture, and on a day's notice, grabbed Michael Biehn and flown him in. And if you look at Aliens, there's actually one scene where they're kind of going down this dark, tunnelish, whatever area, where it's James Remar in the Hicks character, but he's so far off in the distance and all that, you can't really tell, so they left it in. They didn't want to reshoot it. It's a shame his career didn't get bigger. He went on, he worked, he's always been busy, don't get me wrong, but you would have thought the guy was going to be a little bit of a more major player after a motion picture like this. Just never happened. Anyway, folks, if you want to go out, check out a good cop action drama with some comedy, but not dominated by it, go check out 48 Hours. Great movie. Nothing really new, just very well done for what it is. And let's face the reality of the moment. Could never, ever be remade today in any way, shape, or form. Watch the dialogue, check out the story. This motion picture on 13 different levels could never get made again. So go back 40 years and watch a movie that is entertaining and is about a couple of cool dudes hooking up and is a good action drama to watch, and enjoy yourself, because this golden age of Hollywood, that shit ain't happening again. Be good. Take care. Stay out of trouble. Help a friend. Always look out for family. Always be kind to a stranger. And above all else, no matter what, never, ever take any bullshit from anybody. See you soon.